Hello and welcome back to Westbridge Model Railway and this second part, if you like, of my spring update, where I'll be looking at Backscenes and the town build in this one. So as I mentioned in the previous video, and if you're observant, you may have noticed that it's a different backscene behind me there. There's also a different one on the countryside section we'll look at over there, and then we'll look mainly in this episode at the town, at the removal section I've been working at in the windowsill over there. So without further ado, let's dig into that. So talking about scenery, this is the town backscene, or the very temporary town backscene as it's been for some time now. Just a few bits I already had and a few little bits I've picked up here and there. But basically it's time to get cracking on this now. So as I mentioned before, I'm going to make it into a removable section so that I can work on it, well, basically anywhere I like other than having to lean over all the tracks and the station in the foreground. So I'm going to make it in 3 sections. The one larger central section between the 2 windows, and then a shorter section at either end, which will enable me to open the windows for the days when it gets hot, or if I'm doing any airbrushing of the track or anything, so we can have a little bit of air circulation. So yes, basically ignore the temporary bits that are in front of you now, although obviously the cars and the buildings etc will be getting used, but this is how I'm planning to do it. So I need to leave at least enough room to be able to open that handle. Also there's a key there to lock it as well, so I need to allow access for that as well. So that will give me a little gap behind, but that will come in useful because thinking ahead, I might want to light some elements of the town potentially, depending how much room I've got with the road and things. I might want some street lights a little bit just to add something to the back scene. So there'll be a gap of probably about 3 inches, maybe 4 inches there at the back where I can fit something like power packs or wires in should I want to light that in the future. But for now, getting on to the back scene, there's a couple of sheets of the large polystyrene at the end there. But if I bring one closer, the basic idea is that will drop in there. There are 2 pieces of plyboard there, which are pretty much the exact length of the one sheet of polystyrene. They come back down further, they are exactly the same length. This one here, the bit of ply just needs a little bit of trim because the wall's not exactly square there, as we found out when we were doing the baseboards. So that will drop in there, and I will cement that to the 2 pieces of ply there, and then I will repeat that with the next section, which will go in there across 2 boards, and so on for the next 2 boards and the next 2 boards, which takes me right to the end there. And then basically that gives me something to work on. So obviously this will be the road and pavement area in the front, and then the back scene will attach to the polystyrene. I'm pretty sure, so I don't get any sort of rippling effect, that what I'll need to do is put a thin strip of plastic all the way along there, and then put the back scene onto that, because obviously this isn't flat and smooth, so it'll give a ripply effect, I'm sure, when I try and glue it on. So yes, just a thin sheet, 1-2 mil at most, across there, and then we'll put the back scene on there, and that will give me hopefully a nice flush finish. And then, as I mentioned before, that section there being 2, I will be able to lift that out and then work on it, and then say on the days when I need to open the windows, if I'm doing any work, again I would literally be able to lift that section out there, open the window up, do the work, and then drop the back scene back in. The 2 centre ones there, the 2 pairs there if you like, they can stay permanently because that section of the window doesn't open there. And then at the far end again, that'll be another repeat where we can lift a section out and open the window if necessary. So other than a little bit of trimming just to get the angles right there, and I'm not 100% sure whether I'll keep all that height. That is 16 inches to the top of there, and the back seam that I've got for there is 13 inches, so I could cut a little bit off the top there. But other than the fact of being able to see in the back garden, it doesn't make too much difference, to be honest. And if anything, at the points when the sun does come round, which is very first thing in the morning on that end and very last thing at the end of the day on this end, it will keep any of the sunlight or the direct sunlight out that might fade or bleach locomotives, stock and scenery. So I think I'll probably just leave it at that. So now I'll need to trim a few sections up, drop it into place and start gluing. So here's my polystyrene sheet for the east side of the town there, and on the back I have attached the smooth styrene sheet there, which obviously gives it much more rigidity to start with, but also that is the perfect surface to be able to put the actual back scene on, because it will adhere much better than the actual polystyrene itself. So that now would drop into there and then be attached to the ply sheets that I've got there, and then that will make that a lift out section there for that. And obviously I have done the other section, so there's a double section for the middle made the same as this, and another single section for the west end. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay all of these together somewhere where I've got room, probably end up being in the living room, and then I'm going to attach the back scene to it first before attaching this to the actual ply base there. That way I can do it in one complete run. I can get a nice smooth level finish, and then obviously I'm going to have to cut and slice through the back scene at the join at this section here, because that will lift out, and again on the west side. Now the back scene itself comes in 3 pieces, so there will be 2 natural joins within that, but hopefully I can make them level up so they blend in and you won't see it too much. But I think that's going to be a better way to do it, rather than attach those polystyrene backboards to the ply here and then try and put the back scene on, because of where it sits on there. I won't be able to get the purchase and be able to get any weight down on top of the back scene to hold it into place while it's gluing. So that will be my next stage. So I'll come back to you when I've done that. So there we go. The town back scene is in its 3 sections. And that didn't go too badly at the end of the day, I don't think. There's the odd little bit that still needs working on. Probably won't quite show up on the video, but down here on the join section there, in the middle, it did actually stick together a bit with the glue, so there is a little bit of back scene that's missing there, but I can touch that up, I think, just with a few different coloured paints. You won't notice it too much. And by the time we've done the town scenes, there'll probably be like a building, there might be a tree there or something. Obviously that can help disguise it, but otherwise it has essentially done what I wanted to. So you can just about see the joins in it, but if I pull this front section out here, there you go. You can see it's sort of done what I intended. So I've got the flatboard area there to work on, which will obviously have the roadway on and everything, and then I'll just need to probably put something like a wall or something along there to essentially hide the drop, because it does seem like the town drops away. But I'll just pop that down on the floor for a minute. You can see now I've got access to the window there, so I can open the window, like I say, on hot days or when I'm doing any airbrushing. That'll be fine. This essentially, which is 50% of the section, that can stay there. And then I've got the same removable quarter section down the far end. So I'll probably put some extra bracing up on the back here, just so that it's not going to fall apart, although what I've used to stick them together seems to have worked pretty well. But yeah, so I'll just drop that back in again. it is a little bit tight, but it is what I wanted to be tight. So you won't be removing it, taking it in and out that many times anyway. Square that. There we go. So for those of you who have been watching for a while now, you'll probably recognise the fact that the arched brick wall that went along there is no longer there. Obviously I did take that out while I was working on the town scene, but then I've had a change of plan with that as well. So originally it was formed of multiple sections like that, which do look very nice. They were just the same height as the roadway as well, which I thought was going to be the way to go. And then I'd just basically, I'd build a wall on top of something just to obviously bring it up to that level there. But then when I was looking at the pieces to potentially do around the tunnel section, I thought that these might work even better here. So these are a flexible section, as it turns out, not that I need the flexibility here because it's straight. And then I would put those there. Now they do come in 3 different colours, but I think that colour is the most appropriate. Although of course I could airbrush them up, and I'm sure I will weather them a bit more and put some greenery on and whatever as well. But of the 3 colours, I think that is the best one personally. There's a darker grey than that, and then there is a brick red one. And the brick red one is very light, so would definitely need a lot of weathering on it. But for what locos are going to be stabled there, I think you want a little bit of a contrast. And I think that works quite well. And because it's taller as well, effectively that's acting as my wall there to stop any vehicles come over into the station area. So I'm actually going to slightly build up with some more ply on this section here, just to give a bit of extra rigidity to the quarter, the half and the other quarter sections down the end there, so that when I pick them up it's definitely not going to fall apart. And then I'll be obviously able to put my roadways and buildings and then the station will be there on top of that. And because this is thin anyway, you could actually cut it down if you wanted to make that a bit lower, but I think by the time I've built it up, the height won't be too far away at that. If I just grab lean over and grab a van and put that there, you can see by the time I built it up with a bit more ply, that's going to be about the right height for a wall anyway. So that's my intention. So I need a few sections of those to go along there, and then that will obviously hide the join, so you won't see the end of the boards that way, and it will give me something to work to. So once I fix that into there, I'll know each time I lift those boards in and out, they're always going to be forward and touching in the right place. Are you subscribed to my channel? Or do you think you're subscribed to my channel? Are you getting notifications when I upload videos? Definitely worth checking all of these out. It's not just on Model Railway channels and my channel, it seems to be across various platforms on YouTube. Not everybody is getting notified when people are uploading videos, or they're missing them altogether. So if you are subscribed, it's worth checking. Remember, you'll find a button over there and at the end as well. Also, if you do click the little notification bell icon, you should get notified every time I upload a video. And of course, that applies to all my videos, whether it's the Model Railway or filming out in the real world as well. So if you could check that, that would be great. So while we're talking scenery, it's also worth talking about this back scene here, or 2 back scenes as it has been ever since the layout started. So this is the main junction area where the lines cross from various up lines, down lines, freight lines, etc., which is all basically complete and done. And apart from thorough extensive testing to make sure all the connections are right and there's no shorts and everything, this section could be ballasted. But I do want to get the back scene sorted first. Now this one is one of the 6-inch tall ones, and it has the more glossy finish to it. Again, it's one that came over early several years ago when the layout was first born. It's done the job for now, just for a short back scene, but I want something that obviously flows continuously, where this is two completely different back scenes joined together, as you can see behind the signal box there quite clearly. So I've brought a new back scene for that, which is also a higher back scene as well, at 9 inches opposed to the 6 inches height of this one. So I should be taking these out and putting that in. These back scenes will, however, get reused, as they will form part of the scenic breaks at either end of the fiddle yard. So that's the new back scene for the junction wall, as you might want to call it. Just temporarily stuck up with blue tack at the moment, just to see how it looks. It's always a good idea to do that anyway, and obviously I haven't trimmed off the white sections on the joins there. Also, unlike some back scenes, which doesn't matter which way round you go, the ends will match up. It does on this one, and I have put this one up the wrong way around at the moment, so it doesn't actually line up. That's not a problem. Obviously, when it comes to actually putting it up properly, I shall just turn it round the other way. And the scenes, the hills and the background are very similar anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much which way it goes round. But I do like that. It's certainly much better than the two separate ones that are in there before, and I think that will definitely work for me. So once again, excusing the very temporary nature of the tunnel there, which was just done to give me an idea on the shape and height of the tunnel, which is definitely too tall. I will need to make it smaller when it comes to doing the real thing, and of course I will want it to blend in with the background behind. But I think the back scene there works very nicely. I think I can already picture that there with the proper tunnel mouths in and ballasted and a few little bits and a fence along the back there. Yeah, I think that will look really good once it's done. So this is the other side of the new back scene. So again, temporary bridge in place. That's going to be a 4-lane dual carriageway bridge going over there, so it will be much wider than that. So the only thing I'll have to come up with is some sort of way of hiding the road as it disappears off into the distance. But I think with a few trees, because we'll have an embankment there as well, I think we can hide that when it comes to it. And once more with the back scene between the two tunnels on the countryside part of the layout out the back, the section where I do want to have some sort of water area in there, whether that be a canal or just part of a river or something coming by. That sort of is the reason why the track's going to be slewed there. So that's definitely happening. The back scene that I got there, it's okay. I think I would have cut it down. It's a very tall one anyway, but I probably would have cut it down to make it so the islands that you can just see in the foreground there would effectively disappear, and the water would come right up to the edge there, which would then blend into the water section I'm going to put in. But it's not quite right. So I found another back scene for there. Again, another one of the 9-inch tall ones, which does have some hills and some water at the front of it. So I shall be swapping that over and seeing how that looks. If I'm not happy with it, then I would go back to this one, and I would say I would cut it down so it's not as tall, and just the islands that you can see in the foreground there would effectively be cut off, and the water would just form the edge of where my water feature will go in. So this is the new back scene, or proposed new back scene for the countryside of the layout, where the water's going to be. You can probably just make out there is what would be a lake or a lock or something, I guess, at the bottom of the printed sheet there. But it is it's much more subtle and smaller than the previous one, and I think it does blend in much better. So again, I'm going to leave it up for a little while, just to make sure that I do like it before I come to putting it up permanently, but I think that's going to work well as well. I'll just show you the two ends now and you'll see what I mean. So we're looking at the other end of the very temporary tunnel now, which, as you can see, is too high, as I mentioned before, and that's even before I start sculpting what will be the finished version and putting all the static grass and various things on. But hopefully you can just see the line of the trees on the back scene there, and as the hill rises, pretty much blends in perfectly where the tunnel's going to be. So that's going to work really well for me, and I think I can get that to just blend in there very nicely. And again, the idea being is that this side of the tunnel does look totally different to the other side of the tunnel, which the back scene will do, because you've got the tree line on the back of this one, whereas you've just got the sky on the other side. And then looking in the other direction, you can see again that the hillside in the background blends in quite nicely with what will be the hillside where I've got the, again, temporary tunnel covering, and a couple of houses just up there to give me an idea of what I'm working towards. And then the back scene carries right on into the distance. So once again, I think that's going to work just well for me and do exactly what I want to do, but I'll have it running and leave it for a few days yet while I mull over things before I go and put it all up properly. And when it comes to putting these back scenes up permanently, and the one that's on the heritage branch as well, I've gone for this Deluxe Materials View Glue Back Scene Adhesive. Having read up a few different types of glues and ways of doing it, I think this is going to be the best one all round, so I will be pasting that onto the wall, although you don't actually do it like wallpaper paste. Having read it, it doesn't need to be done on the whole length of the back scene or the wall. But yeah, that's the one I'm going to be using. It's supposed to be a wrinkle-free and tear-free application. So fingers crossed that is true and I don't make a complete horlicks of it. So yeah, that's what I'll be using when it comes to doing it. I'm sure you don't want to hear me waffling on constantly, so let's have a running session and see if you can notice any new additions since the last update. So I think that about wraps it up for this back scene video, so to speak, part 2 of my spring update. Back scenes are very important. I think if you don't get those right, doesn't matter what you do with the rest of the layout, it's just not going to look as good as it should do. So I'm fairly happy with 3/4 of the layout now, we'll say, once I make my mind up finally with your help on what I should do for the section where the water is going to go. I can get my paste pack out again and we can get all of those put up permanently, and that allows me to start doing some scenic work in front of it, like the hillsides, tunnels, embankments, etc., which I know has definitely been lacking on the layout at the moment, but I just wanted to make sure I've got everything right and I'm happy with the track and the wiring and the back scenes before we go down that road. Yes, we're progressing a little bit further. We are coming up to the summer now, so maybe I'll be out more and less on the railway. But there's a lot of plans still going forward. And then, of course, we've got the autumn and the winter. And beyond then, plenty of time to carry on with the layout. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. It will really help with the YouTube algorithm. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, you'll find a button over that side as well. And check that you are subscribed, just in case you've been unsubscribed for some reason. But other than that, I'll say thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.